Everybody, my name is Avril Thompson. I'm your Carhaul director. To my right is Assistant Carhaul Director Jeff Brisky. To my left is Chris Taylor, who was the lead chair in the driveway supplement negotiations. We are happy to announce today that we were successful in negotiating what we believe is the best Carhaul contract ever. We were faced with many issues at the table. The company came with issues of absenteeism, of driver productivity, and we believe that we addressed all those issues. We also had issues of our own from the membership that we think we have done very well with, and when you see the package, I think that you'll be thrilled with it. We ask that you look at the entire package and then give us a yes vote on the contract so that we can move forward with the next phase of our rebuilding of the Carhaul industry, which will be organizing. Jeff?
Thank you, Brother Thompson. I'd like to, my name is Jeff Brilski. I'm the president of Teamsters Local 449 in Buffalo, New York. I'd like to start by thanking my colleagues, both of them, Brother Chris Taylor and Director Avril Thompson, for their steadfast approach to bargaining this collective bargaining agreement. I'd also like to thank the IBT and General President Sean O'Brien, General Secretary Fred Zuckerman for their unwavering support and commitment to the craft. I would also like to thank our membership for putting their confidence in us and giving us the privilege of being able to bargain on their behalf. So thank you for that. Brother Taylor?
Thank you, Brother Brisky. This is Chris Taylor, out of Local 745, and as the Carhaul Director, Brother Thompson has told you that to help lead the negotiations in the driveway supplement. Let me first thank Brother Thompson, Brother Brisky for their dedication, their hard work. We spent many long hours, those two specifically, working endlessly to get you the best collective bargaining agreement that this industry has ever seen. Special thanks goes out to Brother Sean O'Brien, the General President, Brother Fred Zuckerman, General Secretary Treasurer, the General Executive Board. Without their leadership and actually their vision, these type of contracts don't happen.
We'd be remiss not to mention our bargaining unit members that also were on the negotiating panel. They were key to bringing real life issues to the table, helped us to negotiate this great contract, so I want to give them a special round of thanks. Okay, now we'll give a explanation of the contract. I'm going to do the national section and the Central Southern Truckaway section, and then Jeff will follow up with the rest. The first change, and what I'll do, I'll kind of read you the change and tell you any specifics that go along with it, why it was changed, and so forth. The first change we have is Article 2, Section 5D. It says, on all transferred work, the company must accept and agree to be bound by the local rider and all established practices, past committee decisions, and working conditions relating to the locations to which the work is transferred. That was a very important proposal from the union side. We had a bad arbitration decision that came out on that topic, and we were able to negotiate it back into the contract to protect our members. Next up, we have Article 3, Section 1J, Training Program. And it's in 1J, Section I. New language states that upon successful completion of every probationary employee's probationary period, the company shall pay all required contributions necessary to ensure that such employees and his eligible dependents will be fully covered by and receive health and welfare benefits immediately. This was a very important proposal that came from the union side. We believe that it's going to be key to driver retention. This will allow a person to come in that gets to their probation to have insurance immediately. Very huge for our industry. National Article 5, Seniority, Section 14. When the mode of transportation changes to or from single drive, yard, rail, or truckaway at the same facility or terminal, employees who were previously in that classification and who remain qualified will be allowed to follow the amount of work being transferred and dovetailed in order of terminal seniority, regardless whether this move involves the same company. This is due to the issue where we had CDL drivers that had moved into the yard. Transfer of work had happened going the other way, and they were not able to get back to the truck. Next up was a big issue that we had from the members. Had a lot of proposals on the modified work agreement that's in Article 10, Section 3B. There are several changes to it. In number 1, it says the category type of work is not expected to result in re-injury and which can be performed with medical limitations set forth by the attending physician. If modified work is not available at a company location, comma, the modified work is a new word, must be performed at an employee's home or nonprofit alternative location, such as listed in Exhibit A attached here too. In the second paragraph, we've added some words. The employer and local union will agree on locations and types of alternative work offered in conjunction with Article 10, Section 3D, prior to the employee being assigned. This is very important because prior to this, we had no say-so on where a person went. This will allow the company was mandated to call the local union, saying they want to place an employee in a modified work assignment. The local union can call the employee, make sure that they know what they're getting into before they get put in a job that either would violate their restrictions or would be something that the employee would not care to do. Paragraph number 2, disputes over work assignments. We struck out appropriateness of alternative locations shall be filed directly with the National Joint Arbitration Committee, and we struck, and a deadlock over such dispute will be referred to the Board of Arbitration, but rather, in the event of a deadlock, the employee involved will be removed from the assignments, period. During such dispute, the employer will not be required to perform the disputed assignment at that location until the local union and the employer mutually agree on an acceptable assignment, and in no circumstances shall the employee suffer any loss of pay or benefits due to such dispute. So anybody that's been in this program knows that we've had trouble with telephones being sent to people's homes and different undesirable work that didn't really help to get an employee back to work. That's what this program is for, not to harass them, but to get them back to work, and we're going to make it work for that cause. In paragraph 4 of the same exhibit, unless otherwise agreed by the company, the local union, and the employee, modified work will be done between Monday through Friday, starting between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. for no more than 8 hours per day. So that is, once again, gives the employee and the local union the say-so on what that shift's going to be.
I think it's equally as important to mention that this letter of understanding will now become part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Correct.
It will be in print inside the agreement for everybody to refer to. I think for the first time. So that's equally as important.
Right. That way people can read it for themselves.
Yep.
Good point, Jeff. Thank you. Article 10, Section 7, Family and Medical Leave Act. 7F. All locations and terminals of any employer covered by this agreement shall be required to comply with this article, regardless of the number of employees working at any particular location or terminal. So we had some terminals around the country that were small. As you know, the law requires 50 employees within a 50-mile radius. We had some that did not qualify for that. We were able to get the company to agree to cover those guys under FMLA just above and beyond what the law requires. It was a good move. Next is Article 23, Cost of Living. The cost of living raise that is currently in the contract was capped at 10 cents on the hour. The triggering mechanism that we have is better than any industry out there, as we have learned through our economists. We had them to study it, and this is the best formula of any contract in the country. What we were able to do was to get the 10-cent cap changed to 50 cents. So if the cost of living trips next year or the year after, it could be another 50-cent increase in the member's pocket.
And it further captures cost of living increase in the last year of the CBA as well.
Correct. Okay. several pages to that one. The next article that we made a change to is Article 24, Section 2, and it's in the third paragraph. An employee unable to successfully pass the DOT Commercial Driver's License CDL examination will be allowed to retain seniority for a period of not to exceed, and we changed it from 1 year to 2 years. This just gives our drivers protection if they have an issue with being unable to pass the CDL test. The next one is a big one under Article 28. It's USA, Canadian, Mexico border crossing language. In the last paragraph of Article 28, we were able to add language that a driver will be paid 15 minutes for crossing into Canada and 15 minutes for crossing into the United States. This change will apply to all supplements attached to the NMATA. And also, just for general knowledge, all the changes that were negotiated to the Central Southern supplement will also apply to the Eastern and the Western supplements as well. Next in my packet is Article 30, Section 5. This is for yard people and for our vans that we have out that's shuttling our drivers around. It says effective on the ratification date of the contract, all yard vans shall be equipped with fully functioning air conditioners. So the words newly acquired has been stricken so that the yard vans we have currently now have to have fully functioning air conditioners. And on newly acquired vans, ones that maintain a temperature at a dash or primary vents of 30 degrees cooler than the outside temperature. Very important. A lot of our yard vans out there are older and they have air conditioners that don't work. Now the company is committed that they are going to work, and we've got language to force that to happen. Article 30, Section 15. All new equipment ordered on or after the date of ratification shall be provided with quick ratchet and release systems. All quick release ratchets shall be properly maintained. We understand that there's some new technology that's out. Some of our castings trucks already has it for a quick release, and that's what that language is about. National Article 31, uniforms. If the company requires safety vests to be worn, the company will provide the employees with breakaway Velcro safety vests at the company's sole expense. New language, something that's very important for rail loaders and for car haulers that are climbing around on a truck. It could save a workman's comp injury and for the company, but more than that, it would keep our members healthy, which is what we're looking for. Article 33, work preservation. TNAC and NATLD shall mutually establish a protocol with regards to wages, benefits, terms, and other conditions of employment to be utilized in the event an employer has an opportunity to acquire yard work at a location where the employees are not currently covered under the NMATA. This was also one of the union's proposals. Very important to us. We believe that yards around this country are key to growing our industry. We have a lot of yards that are not under the NMATA that we are going to go after to organize. We are going to sit down with the companies and come up with a template that these companies can go and place bids and get these people under the national contract. And we're gonna grow this in. It's going to be very, very important. Article 33, Section 2, work preservation. In 5C, the assignment of Carhaul work pursuant to the third-party service agreement, TPS agreement, as append to this agreement shall only when and where such TPS agreement is in effect, and only to the extent that the employer benefiting from the use of such TPS agreement strictly complies with its terms and obligations. This is an issue that was a hot topic during negotiations. Truthfully, when the topic first came up, myself and most of the committee were against doing a third-party service agreement. We have determined that it's going to be a very valuable tool for us to grow in the trucking industry. Instead of having the manufacturer to pick up part of our work and give it out to a third party, we're going to allow our companies to do that. In doing it, our local stewards, our local unions are going to have control of it. The companies are going to send copies of all loads that are sent out, all units that are sent out to other companies. The IBT, the local union, the steward are going to be monitoring this. Any abuse that comes out of this, we have a get out clause that we will use. The companies are very aware that this is important to them, important to us, but we will guarantee you that it's going to be done right. So that's what that's about. National Article 35, duration. This was a very important proposal from us too. As you know, the current contract expired May 31st, 2022. We have agreed and got the company to agree to an extension on this contract. It will expire August 31, 2025. The reasons for that move should be obvious to everybody. We would rather have our contract coming to an end as the plants are coming back up instead of as the plants may be going down for July shutdowns. Very important, and we're glad that we got that back in the contract. Next, under Article 40, discharge or suspension, modify Rule 1A, major chargeable accident rule. For years we have tried to get a definition of what a major chargeable accident was in the contract. We've made a step here, baby steps. To be considered a major chargeable accident, damages must exceed $5,000. So, $5,000, you think, well, it don't take much to do that in these days, which we'd agree, but I have defended cases where we had people discharged for $2,000. So now by getting a threshold put in of $5,000, at least we got something to work with. We can always work on that down the road. Article 40, discharge, Article 40, discharge or suspension, inserted at the end of Rule 2. For the purposes of this article, excessive, which excessive shows up in the local agreement as for excessive absenteeism or tardiness. Excessive in paragraphs C and D is defined as missing all or part of 3 working days in a rolling 45 calendar day period. I was amazed to find out that around the country there are many different definitions of what excessive was. In my area, we've always practiced it as 3 in a 30 calendar day, rolling calendar day period. We had locations around the country that was 1 day got you 1 step, 2 days got you the next step, and 5 days, 5 single days, you were terminated. We were able to get the company to agree to something that would be across the country and define excessive under that contract as 3 in 45 calendar days, and that's huge for everyone around the country. Article 40, Rule 8B, failure to meet all requirements of state, federal, and local laws, reprimands to layoffs and discharge in aggravated cases. Very big, very important to this industry. As we know of all the cases we've had with CSA violations in the past, we've had members discharged for CSA warning tickets, and we spent a lot of time on trying to get something that the company could live with, that we could live with, and once again, this is the first step. So we have got new language that says, note, with regard to CSA warning tickets, the employer shall not issue discipline without independent, objective evidence of the violation, which means that it cannot be that a independent objective would be such as the breadcrumbs from a truck would be independent objective. If you had a police officer that says a guy didn't have a seatbelt on and we gave him a ticket, we would not consider that to be independent objective. Article 42, lodging. Another big, important proposal from our membership, and we got new language added to Article 42. Truckaway employers will provide drivers with the means of reserving and checking into authorized hotel rooms without the need to use their personal credit card or debit cards. Incidental charges will be the sole responsibility of the driver, and the company shall have the right to deduct from a driver's pay incidental charges that are billed to the company. provided notice is given to the employee at least one pay period before the wage deduction is made. If any dispute is raised concerning an incidental charge, the deduction will not be made until the dispute is resolved. If the charge resulted from a false or unsubstantiated claim by the motel will be removed from the authorized motel list. And in the second paragraph, Cassins Transport and Jack Cooper Transport shall coordinate to the greatest extent possible their authorized motel list so that the same motels appear on both lists. So this was huge to our Truckaway drivers. And what it says is you don't have to put out your own money anymore to reserve a room. The company's going to have you a card, and if there's any disputes over charges on that card, they won't take it out until it's resolved. And secondly, that the motel books are going to be the same for both companies. Now it says to the greatest extent, so we'll help them with that. You know, if you're a Cooper guy and you see Cassins staying somewhere in a town that you can't stay, then we're going to inquire about why, and we'll get that motel added to your list too, so that you can all stay at the same place. Next in my packet is Article 48, Section 1A, and you know it got to be kind of a joke in our negotiation session, because at one point I told the company we had spent 48 hours talking about Article 48 and we were done with it. In the end, we came out with something that's really great, I think, for the membership, and you'll see why when I go through this. Article 48, Section 1A, it says where work is slow at a driver's home terminal, he or she can be required to deadhead to another terminal on a single trip basis. Such driver shall be dispatched with a load in the general direction of his or her home terminal. Current language, it's what we do now. The company had issues saying that they needed to be able to move drivers to hot spots. They started out with this one, said it was important that they be able to deadhead people to a hot spot and have them pull loads there. They actually wanted to take away the right to come back home, even if a load exists. We denied that, we fought back on it, and we came up with this new language. And it says, if no such load exists, the driver shall be required to pick a load away from the direction of the home terminal, provided that that trip has been made available to the drivers at the dispatching terminal, and further provided that any subsequent trip is in the direction of your home terminal. So what this says is they can require you to deadhead from your home terminal into a hot spot. If there is a trip coming back home, they have to give you that first, just the way that the contract has always been. If no trip exists, then they can require you to pick one trip away. Article 48, Section 1B. This is any driver voluntarily going to a foreign terminal to handle overflow traffic. As you know, we have had a $30 per diem for meals in the contract for many years, and we got that increased to $35 when you're out on Article 48.1. Article 48, Section 1F. If a driver on Article 48, Section 1B work assignment who is required to take a 34-hour restart will be entitled to daily guarantee during that period. So we had drivers who were taking a voluntary redomicile, and they would get to that terminal and run out at the terminal, run out of hours, or run out while they were on the road and not be paid to restart. Now when you're on Article 48, voluntary redomicile, you get paid for your restart. Article 48, Section 3. This is the biggest change in Article 48 that you're going to see, and I think it's a big change both ways, Jeff.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think when we get all the way through this and you really realize what we've done here, it's a good move for the drivers. It's going to help the company out, but it's a better move for the drivers. So A, B, and C have been unchanged. And then we get into the new language. It says prior to dispatch from the home terminal, the employer may designate up to 25% of the loads as either Category 1 or Category 2 as described below, neither of which will be considered hot or must go. And a driver may be required but not forced on either category of load after the first 2 days of the driver's dispatch week. So that simply says if you're a your dispatch starts on Monday, they can do this on Monday, Tuesday. After that, nobody can be forced on any of these loads. All right, category number one is pick one trip away from the direction of his home terminal, provided that such away trip has been made available to the domiciled drivers at dispatching terminal. A driver who picks a trip under this provision shall be paid the full rate or applicable zone rate, whichever is greater, on all legs where the trip consists of 4 or more legs. A driver will not be prohibited from pulling 4 or more trips in order to prevent him from taking advantage of this full rate opportunity. So this really comes into play for a terminal where you have a lot of 22 traffic. Now you see we went by 22, we didn't make any changes to it. We believe that we currently have language in the contract that will fix any 22 problems that we have. I've already instructed my committee, and we've told the company that if 22 cases come to the panel, there's a mechanism for us to fix them, and that's to deadlock issues and they go away. So that's the way to fix 22. This is the way the driver can fix 22. So if you're in a terminal that's got Article 22 traffic, and you pick that load and you go to a location drop and you go into a terminal, if you voluntarily pick a load away and make a total of 4 trips before you come back home, each one of those 4 legs pays full rate. So if you go out on the 22 at a little better than half rate and you make 4 trips before you get back home, you just gave yourself a 50% increase on that one trip. Plus, the other 3 runs that you make are all at full rate. No 22s, no frozen rate, 4 full rate trips before you come back home. It can be a huge pay increase to the drivers. Number 2, pick a minimum of 2 turn trips from a single terminal, provided that each trip has been made available to the domiciled drivers at the dispatching terminal, the first of which trips shall not exceed 250 miles to the last drop, the second of which trips shall not exceed 150 miles to the final drop. Further provided that if the first of such dispatches is on a Thursday, only one such dispatch may be required on a trip not to exceed 150 miles to the first drop, and further provided that this subsection 2 may not be utilized on a Friday. All legs pulled under this provision shall be paid at the full rate or applicable zone rates, whichever is greater. So this speaks straight to the issue of the company getting drivers into a hotspot. So you take a load from your home terminal, you go on a number 2, they notify you're on a category 2, leave from your home terminal, go to another terminal to pull 2 short loads out, get a load back home. All 4 of those trips that you pulled are going to be paid at full rate. Indeed, the foregoing will not preclude a driver from voluntarily picking trips away from the direction of the home terminal. Any driver who has pulled 4 or more legs on any trip under Section 3 shall be paid the full rate or applicable zone rate, whichever is greater, on all legs. So what this says is on the first 2 days of the work week, Monday or Tuesday, the company can put out 25% of the loads on a dispatch as category 1 or category 2. If you're not able to pick that and you dispatch from that terminal, when you get out in the system, every driver in the system will have a right to pick away, and then come back home and have a 4-legged trip when you leave your house, when you leave your home terminal, and when you come back, every one of those loaded miles that you pulled on those 4 trips will pay full rate. So we can do away with the Article 22 rate just by pulling an extra load, right? Very, very big thing. I mean, this thing could make our drivers a lot of money, and by doing this, we're going to get our drivers out into areas where the company is having to do purchase transportation, and we're going to have our drivers available to pull that. So we're going to try to cure 2 problems at one time. Before, the company just wanted to force you to do it, right? They wanted to come in and say their proposal was to force you on 3 legs, 4 legs every time when you went out, and not pay you full rate. we got them to agree to make it a incentive based to get you to pull forward instead of trying to force it, because we were never going to do that. And if you look at this language, you're not forced to do it anyway. If there's loads back home, you got a right to come back home. Jeff, you want to speak on that any or?
No, I just want to go back and talk about what happens on a three-legged trip, leaving on a Wednesday morning. If you have an ABC dispatch on a Wednesday morning and you have an opportunity to take that out, that too will pay full on all three legs of the trip, because you're taking it out at the end of the week. We think it's a great opportunity to increase income without having to get caught up in spending weekends out on the road.
Right.
I think it's a win-win. It addresses what the company asked for, and it certainly will motivate some of our drivers to go out and maximize their earning potential.
Right. And I know that, in the past contract, when we make any adjustments to Article 48, the drivers react bad to it. I'm telling you guys, look at this. You can make this work for you. You can increase your earning potential at your, the way you want to. I mean, you're not going to be forced to do it. You can. I think this is going to be a big hit when you get into it.
Some of the discussion is will this apply to everybody? There's going to still be local freight. There'll still be city loads. There'll still be the ability for some rattle loads. I think what we've done here is added something else, another tool for our drivers to maximize their income or craft their week this way they wish. If you want to continue to run rattle loads, if you want to run out and backs, well, that's up to you. All right, we've just given the opportunity for a workaround in Article 22.
Right. Okay, next up we've got Article 48, Section 7, the voluntary open board company proposal. They wanted to change it from volunteering for 1 week up to 3 weeks, and we agreed to that voluntary open board. I don't know that anybody used it. That was their proposal, and we agreed to it. If somebody wants to volunteer 3 weeks, it's fine. The next one up is Article 51, Section 1, vacations. We added to the vacation section, a vacation of 6 weeks with pay shall be granted to all employees who have been employed 25 years and worked 10 months of the 25th year and each year thereafter. This language also applies to all supplements, as I stated before, and it will be paid at 12%. Something that we hadn't had a vacation increase forever, and that's huge to us. Article 51, Section 8, another big thing that we got going here. In an effort to reduce absenteeism, employees will be allowed to take, we changed it from 1 week to 2 weeks. 2 weeks of their vacation, 1 day at a time. In order for the employee to be eligible, he or she must satisfy the requirements. In number 2, it says employee must give 3 days, changed from 7, written notice to the employer. The employer must respond in writing within 24 hours, changed from 48, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. And the big thing is, up to 5 of these days will be able to be taken without a prior notice. So it's 5 more days that you will have. If you get up not feeling good one day, just call in and say I'm taking a single day vacation. 5 of those 10 days you can do it that way. The other 5 you have to give a 3-day written notice. Very, very important. Article 52, holidays. We were able to add Martin Luther King as a paid holiday. We put the language in that says personal holidays can be taken with 72-hour notice advance notice to the employer, which is currently in the contract but was not under the holiday section. Covered there, it was in Article 65. Next up is Central Southern, Article 52, Section 1. Drivers performing work on a holiday stated above shall be paid. And as you know, before it was 4 hours straight time. We have got an agreement to change this language to say for actual time spent working. And then it says, except in locations where local agreements currently provide more wages for working holidays, then those agreements will apply. We struck drivers will receive 12 hours pay when driving on the named holidays in addition to compensation for the miles. So what this says, guys and girls, is that if you work on a holiday, the actual time that you spend working, you get paid for. It's no longer 4 hours. So you get the hours that you spend working, you'll get the trip, and you'll get your holiday pay. So this is huge. This is a big improvement over what we had before.
And again, this applies not only in the Central Southern, but also in the Eastern region as well.
Article 55, Section 2, another of the employer's proposals that we agreed to. It says the employer will utilize printed or electronic forms for requesting delay and other miscellaneous pay items. We believe that this is already in effect, and the company asked that it be added to the contract, so we have done that. Central Southern, Article 55, Section 4. The drivers, garage, and yard employees shall be paid weekly. However, the employer may have a holdback of 1 week. So currently it says that they could have 2. We changed it so that they can only have a 1 week holdback. We can get everybody current, and you only have 1 week of wages in the bank within the employer. Article 58, Section 6. This is the reload pay. The reload pay has been $5 for a long time. We had a lot of proposals on this, and we have been able to move the reload pay to $7.50, a 50% increase in that. Article 59, equipment shopping. When equipment is shopped for necessary repairs after 24 hours, the driver must take a spare, is the current language. The company made a big issue out of this. Actually, Jeff will tell you that I tried to talk them out of their proposal. I think that they made a bad mistake. They wanted this badly. They wanted us to strike after 24 hours, the driver must take a spare. So the current language is going to say, when equipment is shopped for necessary repairs, a driver must take spare equipment. Now, that sounds bad, but what we were able to put in for protection is, if no roadworthy spare equipment is available, the daily guarantee applies. So a lot of our drivers actually had proposals to that saying, when I come in and my truck's not working and I shop it, I don't want to go home on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I want them to give me a truck so I can work. And the company said, we don't have no spares, so you go home and we don't pay you. Now when you come in and you shop your truck on a Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day, they have to give you a truck, or they pay you starting minute 1. They pay you 8 hours a day when they have no spare trucks. So, Article 59, Section 3. 3B. Any driver shall be paid an additional $40 a day for meals for every 24-hour period after he or she is broken down and staying in corporate lodging for 4 days or more. On the 4th day, meal pay shall be compensated back to day 1. So this is a huge issue for us with some of the equipment that we have. We have drivers getting broken down on the road, spending days, weeks waiting for the truck to be repaired. The whole time they're coming out of their own pocket to provide themselves meals. The company's paying hotels, but we're sitting there and have to eat at a restaurant. This will give you $40 a day, as I read, for meals for every 24 hours after he or she is broken down and staying in corporate lodging for 4 more days. On the 4th day, it goes back and pays you for the first 3. So this is a huge step too that's going to protect our guys and girls when they're broken down on the road. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Brother Thompson. I'm going to review the yard and garage agreement, and then I'll move on to the Eastern area supplements. The first change to the Central Southern area yard agreement was what we considered one of the biggest changes we were able to secure for our yard people. For one reason or another, we have seen a rash of attendance issues being brought to the committee, but what we have found is that a lot of our yard employees had been working under duress and being forced into a 7-day work week. We didn't think that the attendance issues were so flagrant that they warranted any separation of employment, especially after we found that 7 days work in a row was starting to become more prevalent in the industry. So the first change is under Article 65, daily overtime and minimum guarantee. Add a sentence to the last paragraph under letter A. No employee shall be required to work a seventh day in his or her scheduled work week, and he or she shall not be subject to discharge or discipline if he or she refuses to work a seventh consecutive day in his or her scheduled work week. That we thought was a big change in the agreement. Next change, Article 65, involves casual employees. Modify Section 2B as follows. Qualified casual, add new language that says qualified casual employees who are on duty shall be required to work overtime before any regular employee is forced. And the meaning that the casuals will be forced now to work, and if so desired, regular employees will be allowed to go home or bypass the overtime. Next change is Article 66, Section 3, shift differential. Improve the shift differential, which is currently a nickel to 25 cents per hour above the employee's established rate. Again, this change applies to all of the supplements to the NMATA. Next change, Central Southern Article 68, Section 1, pay period and deductions. Again, as in Truckaway and in Driveway, the employer may only have a holdback of 1 week. All right, currently some have a holdback of 2 weeks. Next change is in the shop rider. We'll move to the garage now. Modify Section Article 72, Section 7, day off, as follows. As again in the previous local rider yard agreement and Truckaway, the employer will permit 15% of the working board to be off. The system of applying 15% is to be handled locally. Percentages of 1/2 and over shall be rounded up to the next whole number.
That means not up to 15%, it's a hard 15%.
It's a hard 15%. Article 73, Section 1, wage scale. Pay for diesel mechanics shall be increased by $4 per hour effective June 1st, 2022. The negotiated contractual increase will apply to the new base rate each year thereafter.
That being 5% on June 1, 2023 and 4% on June 1, 2024.
I think before we go any further, we want to discuss something. We heard our shop employees. We heard them loud and clear. Okay, there's no disputing that some of these folks are the highest qualified and most underpaid in the industry. Okay, our shop people are welders, diesel mechanics. They are working hydraulics. They carry many different crafts. And what we're doing right now in this agreement, we're feeling that we're given a good catch-up opportunity. Right, it's a good start. And there are several other things that we'll review now that are going to be other ways to increase your income under this agreement. All right.
Correct.
So, again, with Article 73, Section 1, an extra 20 cents per hour above the mechanic's regular rate of pay shall be paid for each ASE certification obtained and maintained, and an additional 20 cents per hour shall be paid for a welder certification.
And we believe that there are 8 ASE certifications that the company could utilize in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So that would give them 8 times 20 is $1.60 more.
Yep. Any additional pay for advanced certifications required by the company shall be subject to local agreements. And what that means is a lot of these manufacturers now mandate that work is sent out in order to be warranted. What they're looking to do is have the work done in-house. And what they will do is the manufacturer will send people out to train people in our shop, and all of that work and all of the knowledge that you gain by gathering this knowledge will help you out economically. All right. Modified note 1 of Section 1 as follows. Lead person shall be paid an additional $1 per hour over and above his classification rate of pay. That's changed from 35 cents to $1. Next change is in the shift differential under Article 73, Section 2. Modify Section 2 as follows. A shift differential of 5% per hour above the employee's established rate of pay shall be paid to all diesel mechanics whose regularly scheduled start time is 6 p.m. or between 6 p.m. and 4 a.m. A 2% shift differential shall be paid for shifts starting between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. So technically it's 2% for the afternoon shift and 5% for the night shift. Next change is in Article 73, Section 5, coveralls and eyewear. Where required, the employer shall supply safety eyewear to employees. If an employee needs prescription safety glasses, the company will reimburse him or her up to $100 per year for those glasses upon presentation of a receipt. Again, so if you're working in the shop and you need to have prescription safety glasses, the company will now provide $100 per year with presentation of a receipt. Next change is to Article 73, Section 7, modify Section 7 as follows. The employer shall furnish all power tools, strike and replace broken or worn out hand tools. So the new language just says the employer shall furnish all power tools. Advanced apprentice mechanics are entitled to tool allowances where same exists.
So this was a company proposal, one of their about 6 that they got through the whole contract. We understand why they wanted to put this in. It really doesn't apply, and you'll see why in a minute. We have a tool allowance set up, but our mechanics have quality tools. They buy Mac and Snap-on and such as that are replaced by warranty if they're broken. So the company wanted to remove that. We don't see that being a big issue for the mechanics, and you'll see why when you get to our agreement on the tool allowance.
All right, thank you, Everett. Next is Article 73, Section 8. It's increasing the insurance for tools and toolbox from $15,000 to $20,000. All right. The mechanic still must submit a signed and written and dated inventory to management in order to qualify for the insurance. So make sure you're exercising that right. You have. Next change is under Article 73, Section 11, tool allowance. Effective December 1st, 2022, and each year thereafter, the employer will provide a tool allowance of $1,000 to diesel mechanics. This provision supersedes all local rider agreements except local rider agreements which provide a higher tool allowance, in which case mechanics currently receiving such higher amount shall be red circled. The tool allowance is to be paid the first pay period of December each year. This was very highly sought after proposal from our mechanics, and we were happy that we were able to secure this and bring this home for you. Same as the other supplemental agreements, all employees shall be paid weekly. However, the employer may only have a 1 week instead of 2 week holdback for pay. And that ends the shop and local agreements.
And just a short summary, and we bypassed the really big thing. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the shop, but the big thing I guess that everybody's wanting to know is about the wages and the raises in the contract. So June 1, 2022, and the pay is retroactive. Pay covers hourly wages, mileages, zone rates, flat rates, everything. June 1, 2022, it's a 9% increase. June 1, 2023, 5% increase. June 1, 2024, 4% increase. We did this, we got these raises which are some 4 times larger than any pay raises in the past. We were able to attain that. All the while we maintained health, welfare, and pension benefits at the current rates with no cost to the employees. It's a great contract. We are excited to put it out to you, and we are asking that you vote this contract in. Our entire committee backs it. We're proud of it, and we hope that you are too.